Hello American history students, and welcome to this short video on Eli Whitney and the cotton gin. Eli Whitney was a Yale-trained engineer who was in the South, and he was working as a tutor when he came upon the difficult problem of cotton production in the South. Cotton in the South that was grown, there were two types. One was called long staple cotton. It was grown mostly along the coastal region in South Carolina, and it had difficulties with the growth because it liked a particular type of soil that was kind of sandy and loamy, and it was not grown well further inland. So that limited the production of long staple cotton. Short staple cotton, on the other hand, could be grown just about anywhere. It was very hardy and it grew well, but it had a problem. I discovered this problem myself the very first time that I traveled to the South. Now, I'm from Kansas, lifelong Kansan, and I was going to Florida on vacation with a girlfriend for the very first time, and we're driving southward, and we're rolling along through Mississippi, and all of a sudden I see in a field something that looks like popcorn on a stick. A tall, slender, brown stick with a big poof of white on it. And all of a sudden I realized, this is cotton. I'd never seen it before in the field, and so I told my girlfriend, you've got to pull over. I got to have a souvenir. I was a broke college student, and so my cotton was going to be my souvenir for my trip. So she pulled over, I got out, ran over to the cotton field, went to grab a big tuft of this cotton, and came back with bloody fingers and a big wad of cotton that did not feel right. Now, the reason for my bloody fingers is, for those of you who have ever dealt with cotton, when the cotton leaves dry around the cotton, those brown leaves become razor sharp, and so they cut my finger as I reached for it. Too bad I hadn't seen Sally Field's movie Places in the Heart, and I would have known what a difficult task it is to pick cotton without getting cut up by it. But I picked this cotton, and the first thing I noticed, besides my hurt bloody finger, is that the cotton itself had something hard in the middle of it. It wasn't anything like the puff of cotton that I get from the drugstore in the bag. So I started thinking I have defective cotton, and I went to pull out whatever that was, and I found in the middle of the cotton poof a seed. It was a sticky green seed. And so I was pulling the green sticky seed out, trying to get it away from the cotton, and now the cotton is bloody and sticky and yucky, and it really didn't come out at all like I thought it was going to be. Well, that in a nutshell is the problem with short staple cotton. It could be grown anywhere, but it had this very difficult seed in it that had to be removed in order for the cotton to be used. And removing it was the big problem that Eli Whitney was up against when he created the cotton gin in 1793. It was a very time-consuming process to pull those seeds out. A slave who worked at the removal of seeds could clean about 1 pound of cotton a day with just by hand pulling those seeds out. But Whitney invented this ingenious device with his Yale engineering degree, and it worked so well that he could clean initially 50 pounds of cotton a day by the use of the cotton gin. So the cotton gin, its invention in 1793, greatly transformed life in America. One historian has said that it actually leads to the Civil War. How could it have done that? Well, let's look at cotton production in the South. Cotton production dramatically increased because of the ability to rapidly and cost effectively remove the seed. To give you some idea, cotton was sold in 500-pound bales. So the production is tracked in that figure. In 1790, America produced roughly 3,000 cotton bales that we exported abroad. Eli Whitney invents the cotton gin in 1793. By 1800, the production of cotton in the U.S. jumped to 73,000 bales of cotton. And every 10 years forward, all the way up to the Civil War, the production of cotton increased tenfold every year. So that by 1860, we're looking at production of cotton in America that is 3,837,000 bales of cotton. Now, all of that is made possible by the technology that allowed for the removal of the seed. But that's only one part of the story, because removing the seed with Whitney's machine was quick and inexpensive. But, you remember the bloody fingers? Somebody's got to go pick that cotton. So what we find when we look at Whitney's cotton gin is that it is linked with the expansion of slavery in America, because there's this tremendous demand for U.S. cotton. Slavery increased a great deal, fourfold actually, from 1810 to 1860. And that fourfold increase comes about naturally. I say naturally because the U.S. Constitution outlawed the legal importation of slaves in 1808. So slave populations were not legally imported, and so after 1810 it would be natural increase that would increase the population of slaves. There was also a significant demand for slavery in order to pick that cotton. In 1790, there were approximately 654,000 slaves in America. By 1860, on the eve of the Civil War, there were 3,950,000 slaves in America. The vast majority of those were engaged in southern agriculture, in the production of cotton. Cotton becomes a huge industry, so that at the end of the 1850s, the start of 1860, the total export of cotton is over 1/2 of all U.S. exports. Cotton by itself, a single crop, over half of all U.S. exports, which leads to the idea that cotton is king. It was called white gold. It dominated life in the South. As cotton production increased, tobacco production declined, and corn production increased in the South to go along with the production of cotton. Another effect of Eli Whitney's cotton gin, the growth of the cotton kingdom, is the difference in the economic development of the North and the South. The South, staying primarily locked in on the production of cotton and being dominantly agricultural in nature, never really developed the industrial capacity of the North. The North, on the other hand, produced textiles. They took the raw cotton from the South, the cotton that wasn't exported to Great Britain, which was at the head of the Industrial Revolution in textiles. The North took Southern cotton and used it in its textile mills. That in turn led to all kinds of other industrial development, and the North, as a result, became much more manufacturing and industry oriented, where the South stayed primarily agricultural. So that when we get to the eve of the Civil War, 1860, we're looking at two parts of the country that are greatly divergent in their